Imagine you're drifting. You are 50,000 light-years away from the pale blue dot you once called home. Behind you, the Milky Way hangs in the velvet darkness like a shimmering, fractured jewel, a spiraling masterpiece of 100 billion suns. From this distance, it looks peaceful. It looks like a sanctuary. But as you turn your back on the light and stare into the absolute nothingness of the intergalactic void, a cold, primal realization begins to gnaw at your insides. Your sensors are screaming. The hull of your craft is groaning under a pressure that shouldn't exist in a vacuum. You aren't just at the edge of the galaxy. You are standing on the precipice of a cosmic butcher shop, and the universe is about to show you exactly how it disposes of its waste. For decades, we looked at the edge of our galaxy and saw a beautiful, glowing halo. Astronomers called it a crown of ancient stars and pristine gas. We thought it was a quiet frontier, a soft fading out of the light before the long journey to Andromeda. We pictured it as a serene graveyard of the oldest stars in existence, humming a low, celestial lullaby. It was supposed to be the most peaceful place in the cosmos. But something is wrong. As you drift closer to the invisible boundary where the Milky Way's gravity begins to fail, the beauty dissolves into a nightmare. The halo isn't a crown. It's a chaotic, violent storm of shredded worlds and invisible monsters. You realize that the edge of our galaxy isn't a destination, it is a warning. The first thing that hits you isn't the cold, it's the isolation. It is a psychological weight so heavy it feels like it's crushing your chest. When you are on Earth, the sky is full. Even in the deepest orbit, you are surrounded by the presence of something. But here, at the rim, the distance between stars begins to stretch into an impossible, terrifying abyss. You are looking at gaps so wide that light itself takes tens of thousands of years just to cross the nothing. If you screamed here, your voice would have to travel for an eternity before it hit a single atom of matter. You are more alone than any human being has been in the 300,000-year history of our species. But here's the problem. While you feel alone, you are being watched by things that shouldn't be there. As you push further into the galactic halo, the physics of the universe begins to feel aggressive. You expect the temperature to drop toward absolute zero, the natural state of deep space. But as your ship crosses the final threshold, the external thermometers start to climb, slowly at first, then violently. 10,000 degrees, 100,000, a million. You are surrounded by a cloud of gas so hot it should be glowing like a sun, yet it is completely invisible to the naked eye. This is the Galactic Corona, a shroud of plasma that wraps around our galaxy like a burning fever. You are being baked in a ghost fire, a remnant of billions of years of galactic warfare. But it gets worse. You start to notice that the stars out here don't behave like the ones back home. In the inner arms of the Milky Way, stars dance in a predictable, rhythmic circle. Out here, they are screaming. You see a star, a massive blue giant, tearing through the void at 2 million miles per hour. It isn't orbiting, it's fleeing. This is a hypervelocity star, a sun that was kicked out of the galactic center by the supermassive black hole, Sagittarius A star. It was flung like a stone from a celestial sling, and now it is a cosmic bullet, destined to wander the void until it burns out in total darkness. If your path crosses its trajectory by even a fraction of a degree, you won't even have time to feel your atoms turn into plasma. You'll just cease to exist. And this is where things change, because you realize these runaway stars aren't the hunters, they are the prey. As you navigate the thinning clouds of million-degree gas, you begin to see the corpses. Scientists call them stellar streams, but that is too poetic for what they actually are. They are the smeared, stretched-out remains of entire dwarf galaxies that drifted too close to the Milky Way. You are flying through a graveyard of worlds, millions of planets, billions of potential lives, all shredded into long, thin ribbons of dust by the tidal forces of our own galaxy. The Milky Way is a cannibal. It doesn't just sit in space. It feeds. It reaches out with its gravitational hands and rips smaller galaxies apart, stripping them of their stars and their dignity, leaving nothing but these ghostly trails of debris at the edge of the dark. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is the thing you can't see, but you can feel pulling at the very marrow of your bones. There is a wall at the edge of the galaxy. Not a wall of stone or iron, but a wall of dark matter. It is a massive, invisible sphere that holds the Milky Way together. And out here, its influence is terrifying. You feel a tugging sensation that defies logic. Your ship is being pulled toward the empty void, and yet compressed by an invisible hand. Scientists have discovered that the edge of our galaxy is warped. It's not a flat disk. It's twisted and curled, like a piece of paper thrown into a fire. Something out there, something massive and hidden in the darkness beyond, is tugging on the very fabric of our home, trying to snap it like a twig. But here's the problem. To see the real danger, you have to look down. Beneath the plane of the galaxy, there are two massive, glowing lobes of radiation known as the Fermi bubbles. They tower over the edge of the galaxy like two giant toxic lungs, stretching for 25,000 light years in either direction. They are the result of a massive burp from the black hole at the center of our galaxy, a violent eruption of gamma rays and X-rays that happened millions of years ago. As you drift near the edge, you realize you are sitting in the splash zone of a cosmic explosion. The radiation here is so intense, it begins to degrade your ship's electronics. Your screens flicker. Your oxygen scrubbers hum with a dying whine. The very light around you begins to take on a sickly, purple hue. But it gets worse. As your ship's sensors struggle to compensate for the radiation, they pick up something moving in the empty space between us and the nearest galaxy. They are called rogue black holes. They aren't tied to any star system. They don't have a glowing accretion disk to warn you of their presence. They are invisible predators, wandering the outskirts of the galaxy like sharks in the deep ocean. Because there is so little gas out here, they are silent. They don't emit light. They don't roar. They just wait. You could be flying directly toward one right now, and you wouldn't know it until the stars behind you began to warp and stretch into a horrific, distorted circle. By then, the no-return line, the event horizon, would already be behind you. You would be falling into a hole in reality, and the last thing you would see is the Milky Way, your only home, shrinking into a tiny, mocking point of light before the darkness swallowed you whole. And this is where the true terror of the edge sets in. You realize that the edge is moving. Every second, our galaxy is screaming through space toward a collision that will end everything we know. The Andromeda Galaxy is screaming toward us at 250,000 miles per hour. Out here, at the edge, the first scouts of that collision are already arriving. Invisible clouds of gas from both galaxies are already crashing into each other, creating a no man's land of shock waves and compressed heat. The edge is a war zone. It is the front line of a battle that will last 5 billion years and end in the total destruction and rebirth of our corner of the universe. You look out of your viewport one last time. You see the vast, terrifying emptiness of the intergalactic void, a place where the laws of physics seem to tire out and give up. You see the shredded remains of dead galaxies, the rogue stars fleeing for their lives, and the invisible fire of the Corona. You realize that humanity's existence is a fluke. We live in a tiny, protected bubble of stability, tucked away in a quiet corner of a spiral arm, blissfully unaware of the slaughterhouse that begins just a few thousand light years away. We were never meant to see this. We were never meant to survive the edge. The universe isn't a playground, it is a machine, and the edge is where the gears grind the hardest. It is a place of absolute cold and million-degree heat, of total silence and violent radiation. It is the boundary between being something and being nothing. And as your ship's power finally flickers and dies, leaving you in the true, unadulterated dark of the rim, you realize the most terrifying truth of all. The universe didn't create the edge to keep things out. It created it to keep us in. We are not explorers in a vast ocean. We are prisoners in a very beautiful, very fragile cell. And the guards at the gate are gravity, radiation, and a darkness so profound it doesn't just take your light, it takes your soul. The stars are fading now. The Milky Way is just a memory. You are finally at the edge. And the edge doesn't care if you're afraid. It doesn't care if you're human. In the grand mathematics of the cosmos, you are just another atom waiting to be shredded, scattered, and forgotten in the great galactic grave. The universe was never meant for us. We are just the dust that hasn't been swept away yet.